unearthing videos of Justin Bieber at Diddy parties. Now, Justin Bieber was obviously extremely young when he entered the industry, extremely innocent when he entered the industry, an industry that he did not quite understand as a boy who just knew how to sing and play the guitar and just did both of those things on YouTube. And then he was scooped up, and suddenly he was a part of people like Diddy going after him and saying, hey man, why don't you pick up my phone calls? There's actually a video of that. Diddy and Justin Bieber looks to be like 15 years old and said, why aren't you picking up my phone calls? And he's like, oh, I know you were trying to contact me through people and I don't have your number. And the next thing we know, Justin is at Diddy's parties.
What's up, man? You good?
I'm good. How are you?
All right, young brother, everything's good?
Everything's
Selling
great.
out arenas and everything? Starting to act different, huh? You ain't been calling me and hanging out the way we used to hang out.
Well, I mean, you try to get in contact with me, through all my, business, partners and whatnot. Mm-hmm. But you never really got my number, so.
Right. Okay.
My number?
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you my number.
Yeah.
Diddy bought his son a Bentley. Maybe, he could buy you one also while you're at.
He got me a Lamborghini.
That's nice.
I haven't gotten it yet, though.
Yeah, I know. When is that coming, that Lamborghini? We talked about this last time.
He had the Lamborghini for a day or two, and he had access to the house, and he knows better than to be talking about the things that he does with Big Brother Puff on national television.
So I want you to be now super uncomfortable and watch this video of an interaction between him and none other than Diddy. Take a listen.
Justin, you ever seen the movie 48 Hours? Right now, he's having 48 hours with Diddy, him and his boy. They're having the times of their lives, where we hanging out and what we doing. We can't really disclose, but it's definitely a 15-year-old's dream. I have been given custody of him. He signed to Usher.
He signed to Usher.
I had legal guardianship of Usher when he did his first album. I did Usher's first album. I don't have legal guardianship of him, but for the next 48 hours, he's with me. So and we gonna go full crazy.
Going crazy.
So young Justin Bieber, who was signed by Usher, involved with Scooter Braun, now all of a sudden he's being put in the hands of Diddy, who, it is true, he became the legal guardian for Usher. You can look up all of the allegations of what Diddy did to Usher. A lot of this coming out via multiple lawsuits that essentially, if we were to put it in a nice context, or at least use a euphemism for something that's really disgusting, the allegations are essentially that Diddy very much initiated Usher into Hollywood.
When the clip played, silence fell over the studio. Candace Owens, usually composed and fiery in her commentary, lowered her head and fought back tears. She had seen disturbing stories before. She had covered scandals, corruption, and the ugly underbelly of Hollywood. But hearing in detail what Diddy had done to Justin Bieber when he was just a boy was almost too much. In her voice, you could hear something rare, pain, not just outrage. This wasn't just another commentary, it was personal. Candace explained to her audience that she had always prided herself on speaking truth to power. She had confronted politicians, celebrities, and industry leaders without flinching. But the footage of Bieber as a 15-year-old pulled into Diddy's orbit shook her. She said, wiping away tears, "This is a child who never should have been in that position. This is a system that failed him." The footage itself had circulated before. Diddy grinning, talking about how he had custody of Bieber for 48 hours, bragging about the wild time they were about to have. Back then, people laughed. The media treated it like an odd quirk of a flashy mogul. But with everything that has since come out, the lawsuits, the testimonies, the disturbing allegations, the context is different. It doesn't look eccentric anymore. It looks sinister.
He did an interview back in 2020 with Zane Lowe. I think this was on Apple Music. And he was speaking about another young artist that was coming up, Billie Eilish. And And he was basically speaking about how he wanted to protect her because she was now another young person, a rising artist in the industry. And sort of out of nowhere, he became quite overcome with emotion. Take a listen.
Did you feel protective of her?
Yeah, I definitely feel protective of her. It was hard for me being that young and being in the industry and not knowing where to turn and everyone, telling me they love me and, just turn their back on you in a second. So yeah, it's hard because I want her to know that, you know, she can count on me. But at the end of the day, I'm never gonna force myself to be in a relationship with her. It has to be natural, right? So I just kind of, you know, let her do her thing, and if she ever needs me, I'm gonna be here for her. But yeah, just protecting those moments, because people take for granted encounters, and yeah. So yeah, I just want to protect her, you know. I don't want her to lose it. I don't want her to, you know, go through anything I went through. I don't wish that upon anybody. So yeah, if she ever needs me, I'm just a call away.
I'm not even kidding. Watching that clip makes me emotional because he is saying so much without really saying anything.
And in this one video, it looks like whatever Justin is doing, and I'm not going to show it out of just respect for the fact that I truly believe that Justin Bieber is a victim. But whatever he is doing in this video with Trey Songz and Odell Beckham Jr. looks highly suspicious. I can show you a still from that video because I think the relevant part is Justin Bieber is not sober. He is clearly very heavily under the influence at this party. And if you remember that lawsuit that the producer Rodney dropped against Diddy, he said that unbeknownst to all of these people, they were being drugged at Diddy's parties, that they were pouring out the liquor bottles and replacing it with other drugs. He kept to my limits.
I gotta feel that experience. I'm coming back. It's all good. Happy New Year! Woo!
Candace said the most heartbreaking part was Bieber's expression. Even at 15, he looked nervous, unsure, trying to laugh along because what else could he do? He was a teenager suddenly surrounded by the most powerful people in music. He didn't have the tools to say no. He didn't have the power to walk away. And the adults around him, managers, agents, executives, chose silence. They saw it and they said nothing. Her tears fell as she described the Zane Lowe interview from 2020. Bieber, years older, broke down crying when he talked about protecting Billie Eilish. He said he didn't want her to go through what he went through. Candace paused, her voice trembling, and said, "That moment told us everything." He didn't even need to say Diddy's name. His pain said it for him. She reminded viewers that Bieber's rise was fast, almost too fast. One moment he was singing on YouTube, and the next he was on the world stage. Fame hit like a tidal wave. But instead of being shielded and guided, he was placed directly into Diddy's world, a world that ended according to multiple lawsuits. Multiple lawsuits was built not on mentorship, but on manipulation. Bieber didn't stand a chance. Candace replayed the old interview where Diddy asked Bieber why he wasn't answering his phone. The teenager explained awkwardly that he didn't even have his number. Diddy insisted, almost demanding that they hang out more. Candace said that exchange wasn't lighthearted. It was pressure, plain and simple, and it was pressure directed at a boy who was still figuring out who he was. Then came the footage from the parties, Bieber clearly under the influence, sitting with Trey Songz and Odell Beckham Jr. looking dazed and lost. Candace refused to play the full clip out of respect, but described it in detail. She connected it to allegations from lawsuits, claiming Diddy's parties involved guests being given substances without their knowledge. Bieber, she said, wasn't partying. He was surviving. And the fact that no adult stepped in to protect him still haunted her. At this point, Candace's commentary shifted from anger to grief. She asked the question no one in the industry ever dared to. Why was it considered normal for a grown man to have such access to a teenager? Why did people laugh when Diddy said he had custody of Bieber? Why did interviewers chuckle instead of pressing Bieber when he looked visibly uncomfortable? Her tears weren't just for Bieber, they were for the system that sacrificed him. Candace blasted the industry as complicit. She said managers, agents, and executives didn't just fail Bieber, they protected Diddy. They knew what was happening, they saw the warning signs, but they stayed silent, afraid of losing money, afraid of losing access. They traded a child's safety for their own careers, she said, and that should haunt every single one of them. The lawsuits now piling up against Diddy are vindication for what people suspected for years. Candace explained how testimonies describe a world of control, intimidation, and silence. These aren't rumors, they're sworn accounts. When placed alongside the footage of Bieber, the puzzle becomes clear. Diddy didn't just stumble into these situations. He built an environment where he was untouchable and where vulnerable young stars had no way out. Candace told her audience that her tears weren't just for Bieber, but for every kid who never got to tell their story. Bieber is one of the lucky ones. He survived, he built a career, he eventually found his voice. But how many others didn't? How many were silenced before the world even knew what happened to them? She said Bieber's story is rare only because it was too big to hide. Others were erased. She also tore into the media, accusing them of rewriting history. Outlets that once praised Diddy, celebrated his parties, and ignored the warning signs are now pretending they never knew. But Candace said the truth is clear. They all knew. They just didn't care. You failed Justin, she said, voice cracking, and you failed every person who ever looked up to you for honesty. Her commentary grew sharper as she looked at what the verdicts and investigations mean now. Diddy may still have lawyers and money, but the walls are closing in. Old allies are abandoning him. Former friends are keeping their distance, and the public is no longer fooled. Not guilty doesn't mean innocent, Candace said. It means powerful. And we need to stop confusing the two. Candace admitted she doesn't cry often during her shows. She prides herself on being tough, direct, unshaken. But Bieber's story broke her. Because at its core, it isn't about gossip or scandal. It's about a child who should have been protected, but wasn't. It's about a system that let power matter more than safety. And it's about how long it took for the truth to finally come to light. As she wiped away her tears, Candace delivered one of her strongest lines. The industry thought it could protect Diddy forever, but it can't protect him from the truth. That truth is written in the footage, in the interviews, in Bieber's tears, and in the testimonies now coming out. No amount of spin or money can erase it. She urged her audience to never forget what happened, to remember that Bieber's awkward laughs weren't jokes, but survival tactics. To remember that behind the glitz of Hollywood lies a machine that feeds on silence, and to remember that accountability only comes when people are brave enough to speak. In closing, Candace's voice steadied, but the emotion was still there. She said Diddy's empire may still be standing, but it is rotting from within. The lawsuits, the testimonies, the footage, they're cracks that will only grow wider. This isn't the end of the story, she said. This is just the beginning of the collapse. Candace then shifted her focus to what must come next. She argued that exposing Diddy isn't enough. There needs to be accountability for the entire system that enabled him. She said Hollywood thrives on cycles of silence, where money, fame, and fear combine to keep people quiet. If we don't break that cycle now, she warned, the next Justin Bieber will be thrown into the same nightmare. Her tears, she admitted, weren't just about the past, but about the future. If this industry doesn't change, she said, we'll be right back here in 10 years, crying over another kid whose childhood was stolen. She also called on Bieber himself not to relive his trauma, but to use his voice whenever he feels ready. She said his tears in that 2020 interview were already powerful, but the world needs to hear his full truth. Justin doesn't owe us his story, Candace said, but if he ever chooses to share it, it could break the last pieces of silence protecting Diddy. Her words hung heavy because the implication was clear. The final nail in Diddy's empire may not come from a lawsuit or a judge, but from the voice of the boy he once pulled into his world. Candace ended with a warning to Diddy's remaining defenders. She said clinging to him now isn't loyalty, it's complicity. Every celebrity, every executive, every media figure still trying to shield him will be remembered as part of the cover-up. When the truth is fully exposed, she said, it won't just be Diddy standing in the wreckage, it will be everyone who protected him. Her final words weren't just commentary, they were a promise that silence will no longer save anyone.